Shalom Aleichem, everyone. I've decided to make an introduction on this sefer that talks about Mashiach in a very interesting way. Today, you have a lot of people, if you look over the internet, over YouTube, over social media, you'll find that there's a lot of people talking about Mashiach in the Jewish world. There's a lot of excitement about Mashiach, that we're in Mashiach times, etc. And if you look around and you see who's talking about Mashiach, just look at what people are saying. People are saying they're talking about Mashiach, but there's no real in-depth explanation of Mashiach specifically from the side of Yahadut. Of course, you have on the Christian side, everyone is rapture ready and quote-unquote rapture ready. They're talking about the return of Christ, but there's no one in the Torah world that has done an in-depth sefer on Mashiach itself. Even the Gedolim of the past in Chazal, they talk about Mashiach, but it's very vague. There's not deep explanation through Kabbalah and Hasidus, and that's what this book is. And it's called Yimach Shmo. If you look at the letters there, you'll see the words that are in color spell the word Mashiach. That within the word Yimach Shemo, may his name be erased, is actually the word Mashiach. So the one that Jewish people say Yimach Shemo about, or Oso Ha'ish, and the curse is actually the blessing. That's the basis of this book. And when I discovered the author of this book, a fine Jew by the name of Ariel Cohen Aloro, who is an Orthodox Haredi Jew he learned in the Chabad Yeshiva with Rabbi Ginsburg for many years, and learned hundreds of Divrei Torah about the word Chain. And I discovered Ariel Cohen Aloro right after the Yamim Noraim, the high holidays of the year Tafshin Ayin Gimel, which is actually October of 2012. And the first time I saw Ariel Cohen Aloro, with the way he was talking about Yaakov and Esav, and he was doing all kinds of gematrias and Rashi Tevos and secret codes from the Torah that nobody else was doing, and that caught my interest. And from that time forward, I saw that he's saying something very interesting that not a lot of people, actually no one is quite like what he's saying. But everything he's saying is rooted in Chazal, in Torah, and so I became very interested in this sefer that he wrote that was actually published many years ago. It was published after the disengagement of during the Gush Katif, the Shomron V'Aza, Yehuda Shomron V'Aza, with Ariel Sharon, when he made the move out of there. And he connects that event to the coming of Mashiach as well. So I decided, in honor of the birthday of the Lubavitch Rebbe, who has a connection through Gematria to Yoshiyahu HaMelech, through the Gematria number 332, which the Sefer talks about, in honor of the Lubavitch Rebbe, which is a part of the coming of Mashiach, and is connected to Mashiach, and has it appropriately that the time is 11 of Nisan, which actually connects to something that the Alter Rebbe said in Parshas Vayishlach concerning the coming of Mashiach, that Yaakov and Esav need to meet, And 11th of Nisan is the day that Yaakov and Esav meet. Why? Because Jimmy Carter, and in his presidency, declared that this day is the National Day of Education and Sharing according to the Hebrew calendar, which means that Congress registered the Lubavitcher Rebbe's birthday, Yud Aleph Nisan, as the American holiday. It's the only American holiday, which is Edom, Esav, which made an agreement with Yaakov, Jewish, i.e. the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And that's the Eschalta de Geula, from my understanding of the teachings of Chassidus. But Ariel Cohen Aloro comes from this stream. He teaches everything about Mashiach through Chassidus and Kabbalah. So, in honor of, without further ado, I will start the introduction, a conceptual introduction to the Torah of Mashiach through the principle of Sheker Hachen that we say in Eshes Chayil. Sheker Hachen, Behevel Hayofi, everyone knows this. We say this in Eshes Chayil. And the concept of Mashiach Torah is a different dimension. It's a whole different reality. You're dealing with truth and lies. Typically, when you are dealing in Yahadus, I have a background in Yahadus. I grew up in the yeshiva system, learning Gemara, and of course, traditional Yahadus. I had years spent in the Hasidic world and years in the Litvish world. And I also had exposure to the Sephardi world. And I have a pretty good background of what normative Judaism is and how it thinks. And generally, the concept of paradox and of paradigm shifting, truth and lies, especially the lies, are not as much in focus in normative Judaism, from my opinion, especially not mathematics also. Although Gematria is known in Judaism, it's not your typical approach that you're going to approach the Torah. You're not going to start doing a lot of mathematics to understand the Pasuk, from what I've seen. And I've been to several shivas, exposure to the main yeshivas. It's basically learning Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, Mefarshim, and you get deeper into it that way. Shulchan Aruch, then you're going to Rambam, you're going to the Rishonim, Achronim, but you're not doing calculations of mathematics, and that's where Chain comes in, and that's what Mashiach Torah is. The Chazal say in Koheles Rabbah 11:8 that the Torah that one learns in this world is actually hevel, is vanity, compared to the Torah of Mashiach. For it is written in Mishlei 31:30, Sheker hachein v'hevel hayofi. Chain, charm, Sheker hachein is a lie, and yofi, beauty, is vanity. Hevel hayofi. Based on this pasuk in Proverbs, this sefer makes a conceptual framework of how to understand the Torah of this world, i.e. the Torah of Yaakov, the Torah of Yahadut, versus the Torah of Mashiach, versus the Torah of Esav, versus the Torah of the Yetzer Hara, actually, in holiness. This is something also that is not really talked about that much, of the level of the Yetzer Hara in the level of holiness, the evil at the level of holiness. Evil at the level of, the way we see it, of course, is evil. But there's a certain evil that's actually, and this is where people can get it misunderstood, they can get a little bit frustrated, and because they think that we're talking about actual evil, but this is more of a concentration of evil. And let's keep it at that for now. Why is Sheker considered connected to Chain? And here's a major principle in Yimach Shmo and the Torah of Mashiach through the Sod of Chain. When you look at the word Chain, you're automatically going to see the word Noach. And the last verse in the Parshas Bereshis says, "V'Noach matzachein be'enei Hashem." So you have both Chain and Noach in that pasuk. And that is the secret to Mashiach. It's flipping everything around. When you take a Chain and you flip it around, it becomes Noach. Then you have to see that Teva is the ark of Noach, but Teva also in Hebrew means word. It's the word of Noach. How is Noach connected to Chain? Sheker HaChain? How old was Noach when he went into the Teva? He was 600 years old. And Sheker is Gematria 600. So Noach had to reach the level of Sheker. He couldn't enter into the Teva and even be saved until he became an amazing liar. Now, of course, I'm putting quotation marks at liar, because we're not talking about a regular liar. If you know how to lie in holiness, it's actually higher than the highest truth. It's more true than true. And that sounds nonsensical and abstract, but when you really get into the essence of what Sheker HaChain is, you'll understand. And I'm beginning to just get the beginning of understanding of it, of what that means. Now, Sheker, we've established that Noach is Sheker HaChain, because Noach was Sheker years old, 600, was the Teva. But how is, when he went into the Teva, but how is Hevel HaYofi? Because Avram Avinu is talked about in Parshas Lech Lecha, and Lech Lecha is Gematria 100, and Yofi is Gematria 100. Of course, we know that Avram Avinu very famously was greatly tested by bringing his son Yitzchak, which is also a huge feat for Yitzchak himself. But many understand in the Chazal that Yitzchak was 37 years old. And 37 is the gematria of Hevel. Hevel HaYofi. The framework for comparing Torah's Olam Hazeh to Torah's HaMashiach is this. Now this, in a Sefer, Yimach Shmo, it was put in a table. But I wrote out the table, and I'm just going to read the basic bullet point, them as bullet points. Torah of Olam Hazeh is Yofi / rational thinking / logical thinking versus the Torah of Mashiach, which is Chain. Chain / intuitive thinking. And one could even say counterintuitive thinking, but intuitive meaning intuition. And counterintuitive because it's lateral thinking. It's not it's not how you would normally think. One might say right brain thinking. Inner guidance, and which is above the conscious. It is super conscious. The Torah of Olam Hazeh is emes / truth / Yetzer Tov / Yotzer Or versus the Torah of Mashiach. And take this very carefully before I say it. But Torah of Mashiach is lie / evil / Borei Choshech / Yetzer Hara, in holiness. All the above are said, of course, in holiness. And this may be shocking to many in Yahadus. I know how it would be. Coming from a yeshiva background, you hear that the Torah of Mashiach is about lies and evil and bad and choshech, and you're like, what are you talking about? Mashiach is the ultimate light. That is true. But in order to see the ultimate light, you have to understand what it means to have lie and evil and choshech in holiness. Very important. Next, Torah of Mashiach. The Torah of Olam Hazeh is Hevel, meaning the two brothers Hevel, is Hevel / Yaakov / Yetzer HaTov. But the Torah of the Mashiach is Cain / Esav / Yetzer Hara, again in holiness. And Ariel Cohen Oloro brings very interestingly, and in his style of bringing ideas, the Rashi Tevos of a pasuk in Eicha, and it's also part of his Miros on Shabbos, which is Ruach Apenu Mashiach Hashem. What are the Rashi Tevos? Ramai, Reish, Aleph, Mem, Yud, Ruach Apenu Mashiach Hashem, which you see the concept of Ramai is actually coded into the concept of Mashiach. Again, Ramai in holiness, but not in profanity, or not in mundane, or just how we know what Ramai means. Acharon, Vatischach liyom acharon, are the words or chen. Zeh chelek adam rasha me Elokim v'nachlaso imro mekel, which is a pasuk in Job, in Eov, chapter 20, verse 29, which that many say, in the Chabad they say that, and some others say it too, that the evil one, this is the portion, chelek adam rasha, the evil one, that his inheritance is from Hashem. That from here we learn the concept of giving something to the unholy side in order to balance things, but also at the same time it's the concept of holiness, the evil within holiness. And I think this is a very good introduction and a framework for the Torah of Mashiach, the Sefer Yimach Shmo, the Torah of Mashiach through the Sod of Chain, through the Bechina of Chamor Noer, which we'll discuss in future times. Mir Hashem.